Hello, my name is Harley. I would like to share with you some information about having dyspraxia. Dyspraxia is a neurological based disorder. It makes my brain do different things than yours. Like the majority of dyspraxics out there, I was born with the disorder and I'll be this way my whole life. Sometimes this makes me sad, but generally, dyspraxia is something my family and I simply live with. So to be dyspraxic to me means that I have trouble with my fine and gross motor skills and my spatial awareness. This happens because there is a thing in our brain called a motor cortex that sends signals and messages all over our body to get it to do things, but mine doesn't work properly. So when my brain tells me a part of my body to do something, it doesn't always happen the way I hoped. When I was younger, these mixed messages from my brain made my life really difficult. I remember having great difficulty learning to hold things. I could not use a knife and fork properly, and when I got older, my mummy and daddy could not understand how and why I would make so much mess when I ate. My parents also noticed things like when I began to walk, I would walk into the door frame, or when I would sit on my little chair, I would miss it and end up in a heap on the floor. My parents and other adults thought that I was very clumsy. My coordination issues became notably as I grew older. When I started going to play groups and when I began school, it was clear that I was really different than the other children. And when I played with other kids, I would mess things up. For instance, I could not and still find it hard to kick a football. I found building blocks really fun, but my houses never really turned out like the other children's houses. Dyspraxia has been a big factor in my family's life too. Here comes my mummy. She can tell you some more on how it affected her when she heard the diagnosis of my dyspraxia.
Hi everyone, I'm Mummy, Harley's mummy. We're so happy when Harley was born. She was and still is the cutest little girl you can imagine. Her beautiful blue and red hair was just gorgeous. As Harley grew, Gan and myself started to notice that she had problems with her balance and coordination. Things like going up and down stairs and holding on to things always gave her problems. But we just thought that she was developing different than other kids. It only became really obvious when I had to go back to work at the museum and Harley went to nursery. The minders would inform us that they'd noticed that her fine motor skills were really underdeveloped and she found it extremely difficult to hold pencils and other arty things. Oh, here comes Gan.
When Mummy and I discussed these problems Harley was having, we sought out professional assistance. All we ever wanted for our little angel was a bright future and for her to achieve her dreams. The doctors were ever so helpful, and we were referred to see a professional who specializes in autism and dyspraxia. Dr. Hair-on-His-Face was able to give Mummy and I wonderful support. There were so many little things and changes around the house that made life so much easier for all of us, but especially for Harley. Oh, here comes Dr. Hair-on-His-Face now. Hello, my old friend. How are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm very well, thank you for asking. When I first met Harley, she was 5 years old. I never forget when she came to the institute. She came running straight up the corridor to my office, full of the joys of spring. And just as she got to the door, wallop! She walked straight into the doorframe. I never forget the tears and the little bump right between her eyes. Oh, the poor little thing. It was quite easy to diagnose Harley, as she displays all the classic symptoms of dyspraxia. We've been very fortunate, too, to have identified these at such a young age because it has allowed Harley to get a learning support program within her school, which really assists her to reach her full potential in her learning. By having all this in place, for the parents and for the school, it's been easier to make Harley's life a lot better. Silly little things such as pen grips, knives and forks with larger handles, and a slanted desk block have made life so much easier. Oh, and one of the most important parts for Harley has been her friends. And oh look, here comes one of them now, the lovely Mia. Well, girls, have a lovely afternoon. I'll leave you to it. Toodle pip.
As Harley's best friend, I sometimes forget that she's even got dyspraxia. Although there are some silly people at school who like to point it out whenever she walks into a door or falls off her chair. But we've got good friends to support us, right, Harley? Here's Daphne and Shaggy. I guess it's time to go. Come on, Harley, or we'll be late for the movie.
Well, thanks for listening to this today. I hope it's been useful. And if you have any further questions about dyspraxia, just look it up on the internet or check out Crystal Bella Shaw on YouTube. She's a real inspiration to me. Thanks again. Bye-bye.